Hello, innovators. I'm Dustin Miller, PolyInnovator. Today, we're talking with Marc Goh, the founder of design Prodigy. He is a digital transformation expert, data orchestrator, and Polymath, working towards Maverick Polymathic Marketers for an exponential age. I had to steal that little bit for you there. Thank you for joining me on the Polymath Podcast, a show by PolyInnovator. Please say hello to the innovators in the audience.
Hello, happy to be here. I'm Marc Goh.
It's good to have you. I'm excited. We were talking beforehand, and we were already getting kind of nerdy about polymaths. And I was like, okay, let's save this for recording. Hello, and welcome to the Polymath Polycast. So the way I like to break the ice is have you share something about yourself that no one knows about you.
Yeah, I was an ex-soldier. I used to be a signal officer for 8 years. I served in the Singapore Armed Forces. And after the Asian tsunami in 2005, I thought, well done, I've clocked my field tour, and I left and I started this company.
Yeah, I saw that on your LinkedIn. I was like, oh, that's interesting. I didn't realize that was part of your background there. So respect to that. Yeah. And so from hiring mainstream to polymathic now talents, what got you started before all that? What has been your journey?
Right. I mean, as per I'm just an ordinary guy doing a little business, and so I started this digital marketing agency back in 2005. And in about 2016, I realized it's sort of it's living stagnant. And I saw AlphaGo beat Lee Sedol in the game of Go. And in 2016 February, it was like deeply shocking for me. And say that, hey, well, something's happening here. You know, the machine is learning faster than what I thought human could do. Yeah. And we need to find a way out of this. If not, I have 2 young baby boys back then. Like, what am I going to do? I'm over 40. Yeah. And I look at all the machinery, all the big data out there. So the human mind tends to project in a linear fashion. So this really exponential shift. I think most people have difficulty trying to cope. I was looking for a way out, and I really dig in about myself, about what human could do. And I stumbled along 2 concepts. One is the concept written by Peter Drucker about knowledge worker. And the other one is polymathy. Yeah. You know, at first it was like a bit embarrassed, like, oh no, I'm not, how could I be a polymath? How could I be Leonardo da Vinci? Now, most polymaths have this imposter syndrome, right? But if you look at it strictly, look at, hey, this sounds like me, you know, and given the situation, it's so real, you know, I really could use and all the talent, all the things that I could do to make this happen. Right. So I took polymathy, I put it into knowledge worker and try to do some things, and then boom, something happened. Right.
Well, and putting things together, honestly, I think that's what a polymath really does, is finding things to put together like that, like finding the Lego pieces. Because sometimes people can be really smart, even the more linear thinkers and even the people who are more specialists, they can be very smart, but they don't see the Lego pieces half the time.
Absolutely.
And
so this, you're absolutely right. Like this like can go broad and go deep and integrate. The fusion is the key.
Well, and you mentioned like imposter syndrome and confidence for it. And I think that there's kind of this stigma when people say they're a polymath, like, oh, you think you're special or something like that. But I mean, we are, because usually polymaths see people who are interested in these specific areas. It's like multiple specialties. Exactly. And regardless of your level of competency, I think there's also this understanding of just how various areas work, and it's just how our brains really want to be. We want to be this way, usually. I think some people convert to polymathy, but for the most part, polymaths are people who want to be this way, and it's more of an identification rather than a brag.
Absolutely. It is difficult. Like just for me, it took many years. I'm over 40 years before I recognized polymathy and to pursue the path and to hone this skill, polymathic skills. Yeah. But before that, you'll be like living a very happy life, but you will not be fit anywhere easily. You don't fit in big organizations or a structured organization easily, because it's very boring and it's very constraining, right? So even though when I was free, my mind was still trapped. It was until the crisis of like, oh my God, what are we going to do? And you really got stretched out, like what is stretch your wings all the way right? What do you have? Show everything. And the polymathy came out. Yeah. So I was like, hey, and it's awesome. Like it's like magic, you know. So after that, we realized it's time. We've got to champion it, because there's a lot of value to be unlocked.
Well, and I think people like you and I too are the people who can exemplify it and actually make more people confident. Because like I said, there's a stigma against it. They always say jack of all trades, master of none. But one thing I mention a lot on here is that that's not the full saying. The full saying is a jack of all trades, master of none, but also sometimes better than a master of one. And when you see that full saying, you're like, yeah. And when you see the full saying, you're thinking, okay, I'm actually maybe more of like that. And confidence in it, it actually makes you more successful.
Yes, and one I mean, just a matter of I share how I find my confidence is to solve really difficult problems. Really difficult problems where even mainstream specialists, years of experience, have difficulty solving, and you solve it, and in a short time, because we could do it. So,
you can.
Yeah. So then that gives us lots of confidence, like a few times, like if you do it a few times, and it's the predictability of solving difficult problems in a short time. Yeah.
I like that. Maybe I'll make that a title or something like that. But it is interesting too. You made a point about how when you work in a more corporate or organized structure, polymathic people feel kind of confined by that. Growing up, I worked at a recreation center for the city, and I still work there. But the problem was I was trying to do so many different things. I was so bored with just doing one thing. So I moved on to the next position. At one point, I held 8 positions at once.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So let's go into the questions here.
Right.
So let's start with, what is Design Prodigy?
So we are essentially a digital marketing agencies that specialize in solving difficult marketing problems fearlessly, with Polymath technology and data.
That's awesome. And I think too, I'll have to actually maybe ask you about some of my problems at some point, maybe afterwards, because I work on this omni-channel presence for PolyInnovator, and I created a unique strategy for it, but I still have a hard time doing it as a solopreneur. And I know I can. I know there's a possibility with automation and tools, if I can find the right combination, and strategies, of course, too, then it can happen.
Yes, exactly. So this is where it's very fun. I mean, we've got so many experiments. It's not that we have the answer to all, but what we did is we draw inspiration, like that's what we do, right, from different disciplines. I'll just share one example that might be relevant on this topic. So some background. I use interns to do a lot of experiments. Okay, I run experiments on them, and they help me run experiments. And one of them, I asked them to study. There's this Korean band, very popular, called BTS. Right, extremely popular, but the thing is, to me, it's a phenomenon, but I do not understand. I'm not a fan, but I respect what they've done. Yeah. But they're singing Korean songs, and it's popular, like outside Korea. Like,
I mean, I listened to it just the other day.
Oh yeah, exactly. What happened here? And I don't know. I'm watching from outside like an adult, so like I don't understand. So I get 3 interns to study it, and so their mission is very simple: go in, distill the BTS formula. Why it's so special about BTS, even different from the rest of the K-pop band, and come back to me with the formula, and then we will take the formula and inject into one of the marketing role, which is maybe not a little bit not so exciting, like B2B film marketing, right?
Right.
What happens? Like, can we see Captain America after you like inject a special serum into it?
Right.
And so they found a formula, and the formula, if you just do the same thing, which actually, when we say out the formula, is actually like very reasonable. It's logical. But we try it out, and we see engagement on LinkedIn like jump like multiple fold. Right. Even for intern, they got very engaged posts, right? So I think we can draw inspiration from some phenomena that is very looks interesting, and then we can distill and we can try out, experiment until what works.
You know, it's interesting. I did something like that for TikTok, because I've been on TikTok for about 2 years now, and I still haven't gone super viral or something like that. But I remember a couple cases where I did go viral when I was experimenting with things. So I took strategies from Instagram and Vine, because I was on Vine when it was around, and so I had these experience with these other platforms. I knew how they work. Well, let's try some of those strategies, especially since TikTok was new at the time. And it worked for the most part. I went from 200 followers to 900 followers in a week. And it's like,
wow, awesome.
But like, I haven't grown really since like 2,800 is what I'm at right now. And I haven't really grown from there. But I haven't really experimented much either. But I think it's interesting how when you can take those things from other areas and put it in there. There's actually a YouTube channel called Company Man. I'm not sure if you come across it. But essentially he does an analysis on various different companies like Amazon or even Harvard and all these different organizations, and he breaks it down how their basically creation models works. And I was looking at those and seeing how I could take them for my stuff too.
Yes, exactly. It's so fun, right? So it's really this to try to find the knowledge behind something, a phenomena. Find the basic knowledge, and then we apply it, because it's actually there's this term called epistemic fluency. That's exactly, you take it and you transfer over, and then you try. You know, it's so similar to biomimicry. It's the same.
Yeah,
but distill down the same concept and we apply somewhere else.
Well, and it kind of reminds me of the beginner's mind when it comes to like yoga. So a lot of these new students are very excited to learn, and so their brains are optimized to learn. But once you get too used to it, especially like yoga instructors have to deal with this, you lose that beginner's mind. And I think polymathic people are often able to keep that beginner's mind more often. They're more curious.
Absolutely. That's right. I agree, because I was speaking to Jonathan, another polymath friend that I have, and he says there's two distinct features. First is an extremely childlike, curious mind, and number two is fearlessness, because you're going to do things that people think you're weird. Why are you taking so much time going to this? Why don't you just focus? And so against what is usually what I call the mainstream community, you still persist. All right, with a childlike, curious mind. So these two are very distinct characteristics of polymath.
I think something that, I love that. And I think something you'll resonate with too is that I've been trying to do that with my marketing strategy. I want to do omni-channel creation as a solopreneur. And people think that like, no, just focus on one platform. Go focus on Instagram. Go focus on YouTube or TikTok, and just stick to one. Maybe build one up after that. It's like, no, I know the strategies for each of these platforms. I've spent countless hours learning the strategies for each one of these platforms, and I can do it. I know what I can do. I just have to figure out how to do it.
Yes, we'll find out. Well, that's like a child. We'll play and play again.
I literally sent a message to my roommate just the other day, and I said I was kind of feeling kind of cocky, where I was like, hey, people keep telling me to focus on just one thing, and I can't wait to prove them wrong in the future.
Oh, the time will come.
So the slogan for your brand, it seems to me, correct me if I'm wrong, solve tough marketing challenges with Polymath's technology and data. How do you go about that? You mentioned kind of earlier with the BTS.
Okay, so what happens here? So it has it has some background. Okay, so the large issue is the same. The large approach is the same: diagnose, strategize, and then execute. Find tactics and execute. So what was the difference? The main difference is we specialize to solve problems that the mainstream talent have great difficulty in solving. So then they perceive the problem as difficult and challenging. Now, in the face of such difficult and challenging problem, usually maybe we don't address it. They find some other more easier, that's more recognized way to do it, even though maybe it doesn't work, but there's this black hole. Let's not go there because there's no obvious answer. Or if perhaps to solve that, you need like 5 expertise. Like we don't have 5 experts here, or they're not going to get them to agree even what's the problem definition before you solve it. It's just, then don't go there. It's like, that's where we come in.
Yeah.
To us, we don't care. It's just like it's a room, right? Okay, what the hell is here? And so what happens is there are some premise. Because of the team we assemble, they are extremely fast learner. Let me take a toy, you start to learn.
Yeah.
We don't. Basically, you take the fear out. We don't care. We just fear and learn, and we keep testing each other. Like how let's play this. It's just play, right? And then there's so many experience, many models to look at it. And because the main thing is because we are free from fear. We are here. We are designed for this. It's just very liberating. Number 2 is we have confidence that each of us learn fast at the 2 level. Each are bringing different dimension here, and we just like a crack team. We go in and we crack it.
Yeah,
and it's really fast too. The thing is, so to other people, it's like, wow, what the hell is that?
Yeah. From what I'm getting from you too is like most people will see that problem where they're like, oh, I need 5 experts for this. It's too hard. Whereas we don't have that inhibition anymore. Like as polymaths, we just want to go in there and like, how can we solve it? We ask a different question. Like not is like, oh, is this problem solvable? That's what most people would think. We're asking, how can we solve it? And we get more in the right mindset.
Exactly. Because any problem that is deemed difficult to solve, it goes like, why? Like let's find out.
Well, and you mentioned toys because we want to have that extreme new experience. We're like, okay, this is novel. What can I do with it? And before the show, I like to ask if you have any new endeavors. And you mentioned solving a 4x4 Rubik's Cube. So how has that practice been for you?
Right, some backstory. So I didn't choose the endeavor. So my wife want to buy a 3x3 Rubik cube so for my child to play. He's like 7, you know.
Yeah.
Let's go figure out. You know, entertain yourself. Don't disturb us. But it was not available, and the closest available was 4x4.
Oh.
So my wife thought it's not the same, you know.
Yeah.
And it was on the table, and my child got a crack on it, and he couldn't. You know, like he's such a young boy. He's not trained. And so it was on my table, right? And it was on the weekend. I say, maybe, you know, how difficult can it be, you know? And there's YouTube, all the algorithm. I just go in. Oh my gosh, it was difficult.
Yeah.
But then because as a father, I want to give a surprise, right? So I wish I could crack it before Monday. It was Saturday, and really 2 days. Come on, it's more than enough. Just a few minutes of YouTube, right? Wrong. It's really difficult because of the total combination. But the thing is, I cracked it in 2 days, and I could look at my son's eyes and like, whoa, my gosh,
it's possible.
Yes, within 6 hours is scrambled again.
Yeah.
Like, Papa, do it again.
Do it again.
And so, oh my gosh, so reluctantly I do one more time. So as the more I practice, I realize a pattern, right? And no matter whichever combination, it starts to apply and become smoother. So the first time it took 2 days. Next time I took 2 hours.
Yeah.
Right. And now it's like within, it's like getting faster. So isn't that life?
Yeah. It really is a good analogy for that.
Exactly. It's like, it's daunting. Oh my gosh. And you thought it's so easy. You can Google for stuff. No shit, man. You got to use you got to use contextual intelligence, you got to figure a way out, you know, but you practice and practice, the brain get gelled to these multi-dimensional things and blah, easy.
Well, and even Googling things is not going to teach you everything. You have to actually try it and do stuff with it, that knowledge to actually make you actually learn it and know it. And it's interesting too, because the same thing goes for video games where you can see the patterns and get used to it. I did that with Tetris, kind of what you're doing with the Rubik's Cube there, where mine was more intentional. I wanted to do a mental stimulation like that. So I went out of my way to play it. And I'm sitting there playing on my keyboard. So I have the space to drop it and the arrow keys to move it. And I'm sitting there like going really slow. And I played a marathon too, which is like 15 levels usually, if not more. And I'm sitting there playing that, and each level getting progressively harder. And eventually I'm listening to this high-paced heavy metal song, and I'm playing it so fast that I'm in the zone. And so it's awesome getting into flow, but it's also interesting seeing that challenge. It's like, oh, well, I beat this game really fast. Let's find a new one.
Yes. I also want to share something very interesting. So you know, my boy was like, wow, so amazing, right? Then later on, my wife bought a 3x3. So I said, I think you can do a 3x3. I just teach him within 3 weeks. He beat me. Oh my gosh, he's 7-year-old. I was shocked. So what happens? I couldn't secretly practice again one more time. And he went faster than me. Okay, so there is something, and then it confirmed what I already knew. It's about the child's mind. The brain is amazing. And as you grow up, actually, it sort of slowed down in learning. The fluency of learning is slowed down. And it's just, human mind is really amazing. I am a total believer of a human mind, especially the child, it's like 100x machine learning. Amazing. And it's still true. So we're seeing it from my own child, like, you know, you teach them and they just boost really fast. So that is what I believe in. I saw in my own child, and it's also the same belief behind my internship program. Yes,
and I think too, you'll resonate with this as well. So that beginner's mind that the kids have, it's obviously the neuroplasticity in the brain, the neuroscience behind that, being more malleable and actually to learn more. And as we get older, our neuroplasticity lessens, but we can stimulate that through Rubik's Cubes and Tetris and doing challenges. And I feel like Polymaths are really good about that because they're constantly stimulating, constantly doing new things. And so the brains are much more malleable and efficient.
That's right. I do think, because I have friends, but not all adults like problems. They like to avoid problems. It's okay. It's a way of a path. You know, avoid friction and flow, right? But Polymath is a little bit different, right? It's like, hey, this is interesting, and that you keep repeating many times. So it's a very good mind to solve difficult or complex problems.
I'd be really curious to do a mental experiment on Taoism and polymathy, because I love Taoism. It's probably one of the biggest religions out, well, not religions, but philosophies out there that I resonate with. And I think that, considering, like you said, that we're more analytical kind of brain, we usually want to have the problems to solve. We want to seek out the problems. The Taoism's more of going with the flow and kind of going against that grain in a way. So it is interesting how there is a balance there.
Yeah. Yes. It is. So is life, right? They call it the middle path, and then it all exists. It all exists at the same time. It's whether you want to choose C each. Depends on the brain.
Yeah. C'est la vie. So you mentioned that the company is an agent of change in one of your prior contents that I read, in espousing human excellence and ingenuity in the world. So what are some of the ambitions then for you?
Yeah. That was a post on a title called "The Intern's Reflection That Blew Us Away," and that phrase didn't came from us. It came from the intern's reflection.
Wow.
We were like, our jaw dropped. Wow, what? He like such a. But we know the story why he really meant that. Okay, so the backstory is we run an internship program that solved ungoogleable challenge. So within weeks, and this boy, a young man now, okay, he's like the top 1%. He's really smart, and I was very worried because it was quite late in the internship, and he could use brute force, raw power, working hard to meet all the objectives.
I love it. That hustle.
Because he's that good. But the point is, he's learning nothing here. I was a bit worried. I was telling my colleague, "Oh my gosh, this guy's too good. He's going to walk away thinking that's life, but that's not our design, right?" But that same afternoon, he cracked. And like I said, "Mark, this is unfair. I'm just an intern. This is too much." Right? Oh, I was so happy. I was so worried that you're not going to crack. It's like, well done. Come sit down. And we walked through his thinking model, and he realized that there's always a habit of mind, even though he's very brilliant, there's always some blind spot that actually we covered. There's some thinking model that he would prefer to do his way and not to use that way. And when he looked back, oh, yes, it's true, I missed out this entirely. Then the question is, why did he miss out? And he examined it. And he think through the model of thinking about the blind spot that we spoke, but he sort of didn't prefer that way. And once he looked into that, the problem was solved. Not only solved, you could see a jump the next 2-3 days. We observe, and this is the first evidence that we saw that there's a certain set of mental models in your head, and you use all of them. That's your preferred. When you hit a certain limit, you will scream and you will scream, "Oh my gosh, this is unfair. This is crazy. This is not humane."
Right.
But when you learn one more model that does not exist prior to that, this new model seems to multiply against all your previous model. And that you see a uplift, we call it a jump. And he experienced it. Like he told me, like, this internship was gonna change my life for like a long while. Right? Because such a top 1% guy could experience the power of a mental shift or a paradigm shift, or just change the way you think. It's a massive jump. And he's the one that we after that coined the term jump in what we talk about the human development to activate their power. So with that is the first thing is already a top 1%, and yet he could push much more further. That you thought you're good, but actually there's so much more behind.
Right.
Simply by looking at understand how the mind works.
He's a prime model there. And it's interesting too, because when you were speaking there, Mark, it made me think about circadian rhythms and flow. Our energy flows in different cycles. So like right now it's 10:20 a.m. My peak performance hours are 10 a.m. and 10 p.m. And so my energies are going to spike at that point. Just an hour ago, I'm sitting here like, I don't know if I'm going to have enough energy for this meeting today. I'm looking forward to it, but I'm so tired. And now I'm all excited and happy to go. Plus, when we started talking, I was like, okay, this guy's really cool. I'm excited now. But like, even if you were someone super boring or something like that, at this time of hour, I'd be excited. But now that you're awesome and I'm excited, my energy bobs up. But the problem is, just because I know my cycles doesn't mean I'm always going to be feeling good. And being aware of that's very important, but being aware of the mental models as well. How are you reacting? How are you solving the problems? And if you could do that jump from the mental models, that might impact your energy as well, like that.
Yes. It's like harmonics. Like a waveform is made of multiple waves. Now, if you have your clarity and you have in new waveforms, your wave will change. So yes, it's the same. Yeah.
Well, and what's interesting is that, just not to go too much of a tangent here, but the circadian rhythms like that, you have your energy levels like that, your sleep cycles, but there's also flow, which is the optimal state of focus, that hyperfrontality of the brain where you're just in that zone, like I was with Tetris and maybe when you were with Rubik's Cube. And when you get into that zone, you have that just pure bliss of neurochemicals in the brain.
That's right.
And that comes in a cycle. A lot of people think it's kind of like a little spike, but the
No,
problem is
no.
it's more of like you have to recover afterwards. After you
Yes,
have
yes,
that big
yes,
flow,
yes.
you have to relax and then go
Yes.
take a break.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah, yeah. It's not always on.
Yeah.
No, no. After that, you're depleted. That's it, gone. You're like, I don't want to go to that zone because after it's so exhausting, right?
Yeah, but I wonder, what I'm thinking about is that perhaps if you find that mental model jump, it'll encourage your body to produce more choline or something like that in the brain to help support it. So maybe those mental model jumps are that external motivation that you get to actually maybe accelerate that flow recovery as well.
Yeah, I want to share this. So because I run this internship program, it's all the experiments. Let me share a little. This is quite an important sharing because to me it's an important observation. So now our discussion we tends to be about one person. Now we run experiment on 3%, subject to the exacting thing. So we witnessed a few things. First thing is when one person jump, there's an impact on the other two to jump. Yeah. So when you put them in a very high complex, very uncertain environment, it's very scary because there's no point of reference and they got to figure their way out. When one person sort of found a way, the other two sort of oriented to the way of thinking really fast. So there's a skill of efficiency here. Where one person jumps, the other two. The thing is probably sticking. We do not know who, but as we know, one person is going to jump within a certain time, the other two will jump. So the output is actually good. Second is that you could witness when the team of three enter a flow zone, or a team of three, that they could almost like Pacific Rim, they could know each other who's strong in what, and they will flow the work and share the load. That was a sight to behold, incredible, and it could do it in just mere weeks.
Right. Now, just to make a distinction there, is that for anybody or is it just polymathic people that they have that connection?
Right. So what happens is we try to select people with polymathic ability and certain attributes. So for sure, for example, an intern who is applying with a very straight line of interest, they will not be selected. And you can see people who have zigzag lines and very stretched, and they actually have a passion of life. They don't care. Yeah. They just express it. They don't. It says no way you can contain them. It's right there in the CVs. So we pick them, and we subject them to some cognitive tests to make sure that there's a fluidity of mind. That they could cope with certain multiple changes at one time. You could see patterns, connect dots, right? So Michael Araki, the Polymath scholar, actually gave me like a 70-question polymathic test. Ooh. But I say, but it's too much to get the applicants to fill out 70. So we're gonna find something else in the meantime. So then we also, one more thing is we make it really scary and painful. We actually use the word pain. It's very painful. You do not need to go through this. Then we scare away of what they call the mainstream normal talent. No, I'm not going to sign up for this. Yeah. It's just holiday, right? Right. And those the remainder are the exceptional talent, and we subject them to the environment.
You know, it's interesting. I teach water aerobics, and in reality, it's more like an aqua strength class because I don't just do the aerobics. I do a lot of strength building too. Yeah. And because of that, it almost seems a little too intense. But ironically, even the most frail old lady and the big buff dude and the kids down here, they all can handle it. It's all scalable. I try to make sure it's scalable to each person, but you have to have the right kind of mental grit to be in there. Because I'm a tough teacher. I yell at you. I keep going. But I also try to encourage and help people. So it's kind of a good balance there. But it's interesting because when people come in, they're like, whoa, this guy's intense, at the very least, energy level wise. Right. And so it filters out a lot of the more like sheepish people because they're like, oh, I don't want to be here. But the ones who stay are the ones who actually work hard and bust their butt in the pool.
Exactly. It is interesting because the reality and the experiments are still ongoing. We are able to sort of get about 66% total of them to jump. But the reality is still there's 1/3 that couldn't jump, even though they sort of the parameters are there. So it's still a work in progress. But the good news is that the stability of the 66% is quite about there. It's about there.
Yeah, and maybe I'll talk more on the data here too. One thing I was going to mention too, you're like, hey, let me explain this idea. I love how we get a meta in this show. So don't feel bad if you have to go on a tangent. If you have an idea you want to share, let's do it. Because those are the real meat of the episodes. If you feel like there's a bridge, let's do it. Because I think that That's the whole point of the show too. They have multiple topics, multiple kinds of people, and the polymathic people. But on top of that, these kind of people, like as you know, we make the connections more uniquely. So those little tangents, those little metacognition moments where we're thinking, oh, well, this connects to that. Those are sometimes the most interesting. So feel free to do so.
It is. It is. So let it flow.
Yeah, I was almost gonna just pause and mention that, but then I realized that if I set it all recording, people listening in will be like, oh yeah, it's a good point. So. It's interesting because the DNA of Design Prodigy is that, and I'm quoting you here, we wanted to build a team of marketers made up of driven, pluripotent polymath knowledge workers. Now, I certainly get why this is important, but can you explain the thought process more for the audience?
Sure. The context was because of the transformation 4 years ago. At the point of transformation, we were made up of mainstream talent, myself included, right? We recognize, but we haven't changed yet.
Right.
When we decided to go to a journey on polymathic talent, that like a lot of my team quit. Like, wow. Nobody does this. You must specialize. Right? No, Mark, and it's true because they couldn't find any reference that's successful. Right. Yeah. So I'm very determined on that because I couldn't see the way forward on the mechanistic, the normal structure, given what we know that is multiple changing and lots of things changing at the same time. So I persist. Now, so with that, I use the analogy of a stem cell. A stem cell is pluripotent, means it could be the eye, it could be the lung, it could be, I don't know, the knee, whatever. It could be, it's a stem cell. And a stem cell, I learned it from my wife who specialized in molecular biology. I like the word pluripotent. You could be anything at that time. So pluripotent, polymathic. And so the other element we saw is the driven part. You got to want it because if not, why would anybody take a risk to jump on this experiment? All right. So I realized to pull this off. I said I want this, but I need to create an environment. There's a lot of parameter I need to get it in. If not, it will not work. Like this is a crazy guy doing this, which have no reference that is successful before in the history of mankind, right? Why should I waste my time there? So I need to create other elements to say, oh, that's interesting. Let me find out what the hell is that, right? And I was very inspired by because of my wife remember the stem cell, the pluripotent stem cell. Now, what happens? Like nobody tell them what to do. They respond to the environment to decide what they're going to be next. So the environment signaling design is very important, and we surround them with very difficult but meaningful and impactful problem. So we're going to crack this.
Well, and it's smart too because of flow. Once you get that difficulty and you're more interested and engaged in it, that's the flow.
Exactly. And I push away what I do not want because if not, there's confusion. There are people just looking for a job. I say, oh yeah, I'll join. I love problems, and they suffer. I suffer too. Like whatever happened, I thought we had a deal. Like no. So I had to make sure I steer the wrong talent. They are not here. This is not for them. This is just not for everybody. And those people who are curious, give it a try. And they're glad. I'm grateful for them to come and give it a try because then I know what works and what doesn't work.
Right. You need data at this point. You need more and more data.
I need a lot of data. So because it was very, to be honest, is that the period was very vulnerable because it's like a frog decided to degenerate back to a stem cell and subject to new environment. Let's see what animal comes out of it. Right. It is really, we don't know what's gonna come out of that. We have no idea. They have no success yet. And so that's the period, and we were looking for this quite a verbose, driven, pluripotent, polymathic knowledge worker.
Well, what's interesting is that when you kept saying pluripotent, I kept thinking multi-potentialite, and that's what it seems like.
Yes, exactly.
That's what the term that makes me think of, and because the potential to do many things, and that's what's
multi-potentialite. Yes, you're right.
Yeah. Well, and one thing I think you'll find interesting is I've been working on this like polymath, or I'm changing the name more to multidisciplinary spectrum, where you start out with a multi-potentialite and go up to polymath or even omnimath in a conceptual sense. But there's a lot of terms in there, and I include specialists as well because there's multiple specialists. And I think it's interesting because a lot of people just don't see it in a picture. They don't see it as a spectrum. They don't see it. They see these separate terms: jack of all trades, polymath, specialist, and they don't see how they all align with each other.
Yes. I used to have a lot of problem with what other people think, right? Until I was being forced the situation that for my own survival, I have to find my way. And but the thing was, it just sort of melt away. What are you are you serious? You have to specialize, and
Yeah.
all this melt away when we started to solve difficult problems one after another. So delivery of work is still the ultimate currency between all human beings. We could do this. That's okay. I don't know how you do it. And they say, next, you attract people. How did you do it?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So that's what happened, and I think that's important.
Definitely. And it's interesting too, because a lot of this data that you're accumulating can be useful in other ways as well. So if someone were to look at that data and apply it to a whole different field, they actually probably learn a lot from it. Even I'm learning a lot just in the past 20 minutes of us talking here.
Yes.
And
I got someone come to me and said, Mark, I'm in agriculture. Why are you looking for me? No, I'm looking for you.
Yeah.
Because I think we need somebody like you.
Mm-hmm. Well,
right?
And marketing is one of those fields too that's a bit more applicable to most different fields. So if you have a marketing idea, you can apply it to agriculture or business.
Initially, I thought he wanted me to help market the agriculture product. No, he wants me to do a transformation in agriculture.
Yeah.
So, but like, why me? Then we realized why. Because number one, we are around smart people. We are able to consistently produce those things that's what they call ungoogleable. Now, versus if you get experts who are experienced in agriculture, most likely there's a certain way of doing things. Mm-hmm. And the evolution is slower. So they want us to work as part of a team to push things faster. So that is one potential use, like what you mentioned earlier, on how what we're doing here can be ported over to other spaces, other categories.
Right. Well, and I see a lot of parallels with what you're doing actually with something I try to do with my old endeavor called United Living Construct, where I created that idea of like living together unitedly in a unique formation, that's what construct means there in that sense. And what I wanted to do from that is create a hub of innovation, like what you're doing there, so that people could apply the models and research and innovate and then be able to change different models around the world like you're doing. It seems like there. And so what are some of the things you hope to achieve in life then in this kind of sense? Kind of a big question there.
Maybe it linked back to why I started this journey. Mm-hmm. I think this is year 2020, right? The infamous year that
it's gonna go down in history. I tell you what.
History, man. That's year 2020, and that's the point where you don't get back. No, it's no point of no return.
Yeah,
it's new normal. No, you don't recover back to old normal. And it is frightening. What's gonna be for the next decade? Mm-hmm. Extremely frightening. And that's where I reached out to Dave about 2 years ago. And I said, hey, Dave, I think it's about time the Polymath needs to stand up.
Yeah, internet renaissance.
There's no answer. The truth is there's no answer. Okay, the government has no answer. The corporates no answer. We try, but it's just too overwhelming. We've never seen so many things changing at the same time. Mm-hmm. And Polymath, I thought, I told him about 2 years ago, it's like, I think we could be a one potential answer, but we need to get connected and let's have this vision going.
So that's what we were talking about before the show, actually. We were talking about little pockets everywhere. And what I'm trying to do with this podcast is try to unite each of them. I'm building a tribe and a community for all these polymathic people. Because sure, everyone's going to have their own little tribe. And I was talking to Dr. Angelica Talesa about this, actually. And one point she made that was very important is that not all polymaths are the same. Unlike specialists, where the field that you're in is this one field, polymaths have multiple fields. And so the combinations of those fields are going to be very unique to you. You might be marketing, business, and then agriculture, but I might be business, but I'm like stem cells and molecular biology. And so there's a little bridge in the business there, but the other two are completely different. And so polymathic tribes are going to have a hard time with that, I do think, but we can still build a bigger community on top of it all, like an umbrella, just for the polymathic people, multidisciplinary people in general. Yeah,
I think to build upon I think you have done what you just said is a very important thing, is connecting each other, even though we are different, but helping the rest find out who are polymath and what is their work makes it easier for the work to be done to be connected to them worldwide.
Well, and you mentioned something earlier about how a lot of polymaths just don't want to do the confining ways of society's work. Like when it comes to specializing in one field, going to one degree, we kind of have that natural inclination to say, no, I don't want to. And that's okay. And so that means by ourselves, we probably could still live. It'd be suck because we still have to have that imposter syndrome. We still feel like we don't fit in, but we can still live on. It's the people who don't realize that they're polymathic that I worry about, because we have to, it's almost like we have to, bring them up or enlighten them into the role.
Yeah, this exactly. So before that, I mean, we also have a little discourse on this. So first, there are some people will ask like, who are you to say that you are polymath? Do you have a certification or a certain test that you pass? That's one. So there's also some things about psychoprofiling, right? But and that's where I stand, is like, there's nothing better than showing your work. Okay, don't worry, the work is the common currency. Then let's move on. Right? And as long as more polymath are showing their work that's relevant, that is making a difference, that is the commonality that we all hold in our hand.
Well, and that's why I built PolyInnovator, is to be that personal brand. That's why I champion people doing personal branding, even though it sounds businessy and kind of like almost, like, people almost get kind of uppity up about it, like, oh, it feels kind of gross. But no, all you're doing is curating your online presence. That's all it means. And you're just like saying, this is who I am. You're just exposing yourself more than most people do. That's okay. So there's we were talking about data earlier. This is kind of pivoting a bit. What is a data labyrinth?
Oh, okay. So it's just a maze. Like if you really download, okay. So we're in MarTech, right? A lot of technology, and the kind of data attributes we have inside there is I can't even count how many types of data are there. Then if you let it run a campaign, it's freaking like a ocean of data. Like, what are you going to do with it? There's no way to do one by one, all right? There's no way. And it's quite, in the corporate, it's really quite under big pressure to what you can do with those data. You can throw the word of machine learning, but still, what? Right? So this is where we come in, like looking at the modeling of the situation and go backwards and look for the data you need. So we saw that, so don't get drowned in the data, use it to become a few. All right, this is one. And second, we can activate by, if data is a few, then what is the engine? What's the one that's driving it? We call it engagement logic. You must know what to do next based on the data, right? So if you have the entire engagement logic and you let the data comes in, it will work. It will work. Right? So that's how we saw it. Don't worry, we'll settle it.
Well, it's interesting too, because analytics is one of the areas that I've been a fault when I'm come to marketing, because I don't look at analytics that much. I don't really have much to look at this particular point anyways, which is why I was like, okay, I'll worry about that later. But I've been focusing more on this creation. But I know a lot of great marketers create based off the data that they have.
So I mean, there are many ways to do this. And there's certain old school way, but it works. For example, like there's this whole space here of possibilities. And the human has a tendency to focus on what we want to focus, which is this dot here. But this ocean of possibilities, right? It can be anywhere. So stretching possibilities anywhere, I need to test which one is closer to where I want to go. Then you need some data. This is closer. No, this is no good. Hey, something is here. I didn't expect that. But this topic was really good, and I want to zoom down further and try to dig a little bit more. Maybe the residents could find somewhere around there. Without data, we'll be spray and pray. Like, hopefully it works.
Well, and I think polymathic people, as you know, have that ability to see that data much more clearly too. And so that's why a lot of polymaths are data scientists or solutions architects and that kind of thing.
They'll be an awesome data scientist. I'm confident of that.
With all these different areas of your life too, what do you see as the overlap for each of your expertise, Marc?
I never thought of it that way, because in my mind, it overlaps based on what needs to be solved. You would like go into the libraries of experience and point of view and pull what's necessary to solve a problem. That's the overlap. They come together based on situation or circumstance. But other than that, the brain is just drawing and filing away. Drawing and filing away. Or do some mental experiment. Just take a few, try cooking something, and then file it back again, or create a new category. So perhaps that's the commonality. In my head, they are just little Lego sets. And then putting them together. But that's what we mentioned earlier. It's like put it together. Like, what is this?
I wonder if a mind palace or something like that. So it made me think of like, how can we access those Lego sets then? How can we connect it? Like you said, our brain's taking a lot of data, but specifically the subconscious. It's like
Yeah.
95% of what all the data we consume goes to the subconscious. We don't even
Oh,
realize
yeah.
we're taking it in.
It's big. It's big. It's big. It's big. Subconscious is a big part. I was, this is because of coaching a lot of young people and especially interns, because and I'm talking about experience like this, how I survived the last few years, right? There's so many things. So what happens is that the conscious brain has a limitation of attention. There's a limitation of endurance.
Yeah.
But I park it back to the subconscious. I park it. It's actually working. I know it works because it speaks to me, right?
Right.
Like,
well,
yeah, it just.
And one thing I'll make a point of is that sleep is very important for that, because there's actually 4 different cycles for sleep. There's REM that everyone knows about. There's another cycle that I think is a little bit more prudent for memory. And if you don't get in that cycle, then you don't remember things as well from that day. It doesn't get a chance to actually cement it. And I think that people need to realize the difference between the short-term and long-term memory. There's also a concept called second brain, which is kind of like the para method and all this kind of interesting things where you have a tool, you can put stuff in that tool, and once you just mind dump it, as they say, then you can get rid of it in the forefront of your mind and clear up the RAM, so to speak.
Actually, I think that's what happened. I mean, I used to say, you just park it, and now you have trust that it's going to work, and you have no promise when it's going to return.
And who knows, it might not. A lot of times,
it might not. Right.
People try to trust their. There's a thing called the alpha wave state, where if you're in the shower or right before you go to sleep. And get in meditation, when you get in that alpha wave states, that's where you get all those creative ideas like, oh man, I should make this company while you're in the shower. As soon as you get out, you forget it. Yes. So what's really important is to write it down.
Exactly. No, I want to. So since we're on this topic, so we understand this. So what happens is I observe my own reaction, because it don't. So what happens is this period where the brain is extremely fertile. You know what I mean? That is kind of like, wow, my gosh. Yeah. And I observed that before that window opens, I will be more emotional than usual. And I felt weird. And I always tell my wife, I felt weird. I keep repeating it. And it always precedes that very, very fertile period. So now we have changed because we have mutual observation. I think it's coming. I don't know what is this. It's gonna come. All right, it's gonna come. So we just need to be alert and just let it flow, and we'll just write down the ideas. So yeah, and I saw some authors are the same. It will come, and it's just that I registered there's at least for me there's an emotional signal. You know, like perhaps the brain is started wired in a certain way, and that wiring of the brain is gonna show some connection, but it also trigger emotion as a side effect, and therefore I felt it. Right. So this is the same I observe in the interns when they're making the connection. They are emotional. There's a roller coaster they go through. So emotion has some clue on that process of fusion, I think.
Yeah. Well, and if you think of it this way too, the emotions come more for the subconscious and the reptilian brain. And then once it starts to elevate towards the higher consciousness and the more conscious mind, then that's why it's taking so long. It goes from the lower brain that you're not thinking about it consciously, then eventually it elevates to the conscious mind. And it's interesting you mentioned emotion too, because I teach swim lessons as well. And a lot of the times I have to make my students suffer in a way like, hey, go swim really fast as you can. I don't care how tired you get, go swim all the way across the pool and see how you feel. Because you don't know why we're doing certain things. Like I'll teach you, I can tell you everything you need to know about swimming. And you could literally mentally get it. But as soon as you emotionally get it, that's when it really clicks.
Exactly. Yes, that's so what you mentioned is very interesting. In fact, I might have unconsciously doing that to train as well. Because it's a clue, because there are people who there's Eureka by themselves. They realize it. And there's a high, and the next moment there's a low because they realize they thought they know, but it's not good enough. And so the high and low, it's what I observe. The other one is I give them a very stressful situation, and there's this emotional, that's very, they don't feel good. And then it starts to trigger that connection is become faster. So there is the observation about that connecting dots and emotion it's like perhaps very close to each other, that when you activate either one of it, you affect the other side. So one way is, so this is, I think that's interesting. I like, thanks for sharing that point. It's useful for me.
I'll share one more that you might be able to steal because it's kind of a nice analogy for it, but breathing. When I teach swimming, I don't care about breathing. I care about your movement. Swimming is basically like walking. You're not going to learn how to breathe to walk. You're going to learn how to breathe because you need to breathe. And so even though you're underwater and yes, you can't hold your breath forever, we don't have gills. I make that distinction clear. Wait, breathing is not important to the actual function of swimming. So I always teach 3 basic steps: kick, face down, get the arms out, and move. and focus on moving. No breathing, just focus on moving. The more you do that, the stronger you're able to hold your breath anyways, which is good. But more importantly, you're focusing on the basic movements. You can't breathe in the water, turning to the side and coming out until you have that basic foundation. And so even though it makes people stressed out, people panic. So a lot of the times people actually fail at doing that basic movement because they keep thinking, oh, I need to breathe. I need to breathe. But a lot of the actual secret is it's the carbon dioxide building up. So it's in reality, you don't actually need to breathe in. It's more of the fact that you just need to breathe out. So that's a little secret of swimming right there. So when people actually swim, once they blow bubbles and breathe it out, they feel fine. It's all mental game. It's all that mental mindset saying, oh, I need to breathe now. They start panicking. But as soon as you just stay calm and just choose to breathe out or do something else, it's much better.
I like this one. I like this. Thank you. I want to ponder more about this breathing out. That means, thank you. That's a good one.
Who knows? Actually, in reality, there's a lot of meditative breathing methods too, where breathing out just helps calm you anyways. It's our physical response to carbon dioxide. It's one reason why we panic, even without the water. If we were to sit here right now and hold our breath, it would make us tense up and panic. The muscles tense up, the brain gets a little foggy, we start thinking like, the heart rate starts increasing. As soon as you breathe out, you release that tension. So I think even in a normal circumstance like we are right now, breathing out will be good.
That's right.
So something I ask all my guests is, what is a polymath to you?
I think I mentioned earlier, to me, so there are two blocks in my mind now. First block is about able to go wide, go deep, and we can integrate or fuse. And this one, I got it from Mecca Araki. Okay? So yes, I like that simple. It works. And the key is the fusion, the most difficult one. The other one is about like childlike curiosity and courage to do what it's only you only answer to yourself. Polymath tends to be usually they occur by themselves in a group of non-polymath. That's just distribution, right?
Right.
And you do it. That courage, that fearlessness, and that childlike curiosity. Yeah. So these two add together, to me, is a polymath.
I love that. And I mentioned the multidisciplinary spectrum I'm making, and one of the terms I used was a T-shaped marketer, someone who is focusing on specialization, but they have the jack of all trades with. So they're not necessarily a polymath or a jack of all trades per se, but it's more of that having just that curiosity for the rest of it. But you just did a shape there of the square, the rectangle. And it's like, I should maybe add that to the end of it too, because there's a difference between a polymath who knows a lot of things and has a lot of trees of knowledge and a lot of width, but doesn't integrate it. They don't do anything with it.
Yes, the integration, yes, and I saw it from all these very high function kids. They could learn biology, they could learn physics, they could learn mathematics, they could learn history. But to fuse, oh my gosh, that's another category, it's another connective function.
Yes, definitely. And so this kind of actually relates to the problem I mentioned at the beginning, and that's kind of a scratching my own itch question, so to speak. But what do you think it would take for a polymathic marketer like ourselves to produce omnichannel content as a solopreneur?
Yeah, I think that's an interesting question. So first, usually I will reframe the question so that we can explore new possibilities. So a solo entrepreneur implies less resource. It's one person, right? So, okay, that's all. But let's say it's resource X here. So omni-channel means multiple channel, right? But the content to be distributed. So it's omni-channel, there's no much special. We don't care. It's a technical issue, content passing through. Then therefore, the key question is, what is success?
What is success? Okay.
What is success? Okay, this is just doing things, but how do we know it's successful? How do we know it makes a difference? It makes a meaningful material difference. That is the question. Like say we focus on that. That means this is the form, but we go for the substance. And therefore, if once we hit it, what you can say by doing omni-channel distribution of a content means you multiply that effect. So therefore, in that question, by centering on what is the success, what's the success being defined, will answer everything. Because, for example, I say success is defined as this, A, let's A, and we are B now, right? Okay. And then it becomes a challenge. How the B becomes A? What's the critical path? What are the ways of looking at it? That means you shift the focus from conquering omni-channel to that problem, but this one is a means to push out to many people at the same time. So this is my point of view on that.
I think what you said there is very profound, and I'm still having a slight difficulty following, but is it kind of like getting the person, if A, B, and C is a funnel, is it getting them down the funnel, or is it getting them down a specific pathway you want to take?
For example, I give another analogy. Just that since we're having quite a fun thing. You're in the pub, right? And we're having a drink.
Okay.
And I'm drinking for 5 glasses, right? I got 5 glasses of, but I say I got this content. But I would ask, but what is fun here?
Yeah.
Why are we drinking, right?
Right. Okay.
Now, if we have more fun in these 5 drinks, I could like give to 5 people.
Yeah.
Yeah. So reframe instead of, okay, I love 5 drinks. Let's drink. And it's cool. It's fun in the small group. But when the game becomes bigger, I think say actually we want to let know, because there's 2-3 groups that's right there. I'm gonna give them some surprise today. I'm gonna change their life today, and this 5 drinks is fantastic because it's better than 1 drink. I could go one by one.
So I think not a counter, but an additional analogy is kind of the idea of the multi-format. So for example, my main series, Omni Content, which is different than these interviews, where I create a blog post, I make it into a slideshow, make that into a video, then I make the audio into a polycast. And so that way I have multi-format. So if someone wants to listen to it, they can. If they want to watch it, they can. If they want to read it, they can. And I think that helps have more people enjoy that same amount of content.
Exactly. So your format, it favors, for example, you're looking for a very isolated niche audience. We do not know where they are. And therefore I do multi-format or multi-channel. My job is to seek you out. So therefore it's a signaling, it's a clarion call. And they like come a siren call. Yes. I'm doing this because of that, right? So that purpose, that challenge is the key. Once you understand that, the rest is just mechanics.
Yeah, and that's the issue there, is the mechanics, because it's I've tried over 90 social media marketing tools. I've tried most of the email marketing tools, although I found one I liked for that one. But I still haven't found the tool to do the omni-channel campaigns.
Yeah, it's
like
not easy. Yeah, not easy.
Well, and I looked at CoSchedule, for example. They have a really prolific and knowledgeable blog. And on their blog, they talk about the best times of day to post. And then there's also other blogs that I've read that talk about how often you should post and echoing it out. So the day of, a day later, a week later, a month later. And I'm obsessed with that idea. And yet there's like no tools that can do it, especially for every piece of content. It's just insane. Missing Letter gets close to it, but it only works really well on blogs, not on podcasts or videos.
Yeah,
that's a whole nother problem there. But thank you. I appreciate that, because it's one of those things that's going to get me thinking about that.
Yeah.
So what do you see? Oh, hold on. Where do you see the importance of polymathy? We've kind of mentioned this already, but I just kind of wanted to dilute it again.
I'm a believer, and I think it's a big, important message. Polymath talent needs to shamelessly stand up now, show your work. There's a lot of work to be done. We need to get stronger individually, practice even more. It's our time. We have to step up. There's not much answers out there. We are one, definitely. I'm more and more convinced we are one of the toolkit for us to solve some of the problem that we're facing today. So we have to get more to step up and shape up.
Build the tribe. And like you said too, you made a very astute comment there that the content I'm making is more like a siren call for people coming in. I want to bring more people in. That's all I care about. I don't care about conversions at this point. I don't care about getting money or anything like that. I just care about getting people in here and joining together.
Share their work. And so that it is okay that because really the work is the currency of Polymath. After that, it's just argument. We are not interested in that.
Well, and you mentioned to be like shameless, so this kind of relates to a question I have earlier too. Is what does it mean to be a fearless marketer?
It is a very unique term because of let's say you see you're in the corporate enterprise. You don't want to get into trouble. You do not want to do things that is risky, right? And unfortunately, the marketing is undergoing through a big transformation, a big disruption right now. What I call the traditional way of doing marketing is being challenged as outdated, whereas the digital marketers could be very strong in tactics, but don't seem to grasp strategy. And in between this, there's this big ocean of data and technology.
And so there's no one's doing anything with it either.
It is a little bit messy. Yeah. So to do this, what we do is, because we are outside and we prime ourselves for this, so we take only on, and we're saying, if you are seriously, and I understand why sometimes you're in the position that you can't take risk because you could lose your job.
Yeah. But
So
I mean, that's the whole point, though, is to take risks. That's like the whole point of a marketer's job, is to take risks. That's how you get people in.
Yeah, so they sort of do, oh yeah, company X does this as well.
Yeah.
And finally, the whole industry are doing the same thing. The ROI is not there, but nobody did think different. And guess what? They start to A/B test and optimize based on a losing position. Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. Yeah.
Well, and I think one good example of being a fearless marketer is the election campaign for the French president this last round, or so to speak. It was a lot. I think it's the current president at this point. They might be doing a re-election here soon. But the last president did this viral marketing campaign, growth hacking campaign, where he literally was able to growth hack his way to presidency. And it's a fascinating example too. And one thing I've been seeing some great content creators, like there's Gary Vee, Neil Patel, and all these like prolific creators who create tons of content. One thing they're doing is very interesting that no one's talking about is that they're translating their content for other languages. Portuguese for Brazil, Chinese or Mandarin for China, or so if they can, or doing it in Japanese too. And it's interesting how it's not that hard to translate. You just have to hire somebody. It's obviously the expense. But it's not that hard to do. There's even some tools that do it automatically, but you can't trust Google Translate that well. But it's interesting, like, what if someone were to take advantage of that and then create an omni-channel presence on the global scale?
Yes. It is. We did some study on that as well. But yes, it is still cannot be predicted. Virality still cannot be predicted. But there are some techniques to improve odds. So I think that's a good one. What I like is using that technique, but you use the knowledge of propaganda. All right. There's also a school of thought, Edward Bernays propaganda. You understand how normal people think and what's motivated. And then infuse it into your mechanics, and it will go.
Yeah, there's a book called Predictably Irrational that kind of goes in that idea of the psychology of it. And so, yeah, that's super interesting. And so I'm just taking a second to absorb all this. It's fantastic. Pivoting a bit here, it just so happens actually that Singapore is one of the 2 places in the world that I want to move to. And so I'd like to ask a little bit more about it. What is it like for you living there?
I think it's nice. From young, I appreciate, at least for me, I appreciate what we are. I think we are also, Singapore is also an experiment. We are not supposed to exist in this formula. I feel very proud to be of a citizen of this land, which is a very transient country. It's so young. There's no history, no hinterland, right? But it is a great experiment. And I think this experiment can offer, to me, it offers one possible model for other civilizations to study and copy whatever is suitable.
Well, and the city-state kind of structure makes me think of like the Athens and Sparta Greek culture back in the day, where they were just city-states and how they were able to be self-sufficient. Yes.
So it is a city-state that must be built on a constant reminder that we are very vulnerable. Which is the truth. We are, even though we are very comfortable. So that's a problem. Like we're quite well off, and it's nice and safe, and everything is good, right?
Well, it's kind of like being constantly hungry for success. Like if you're not constantly hungry, you're just going to get eaten by the next lion.
Absolutely, because it's too dangerous, but most people may not recognize that. It's as per normal people, right? We're comfortable, everything is nice, and we have good food. It's a really nice place. Really nice place. It's dynamic. It's very cool, but you must have sufficient infrastructure or institution to make sure the underlying vulnerabilities are being taken care of.
Yeah.
And what are so that we can provide the good life for the rest.
Yeah. And so I was just going to say here, what are some things that people wouldn't expect about the city?
We actually listen to our government.
I figured that much, but like, yes, as someone who lives in the U.S., I don't think listening to the government right now is the most wise.
Yes, I know. We observe, like, well, we're fine. Like, you tell us what to do. We trust you. Like, okay, go.
I mean, my city government's pretty smart about it, but what is it? Kind of pivoting in there so people don't get mad at me in the comments here. What do you think? What do you think it takes to move there?
Oh, I think, please come. Please come. It is really designed as a talent magnet. Okay. Maybe perhaps I also have expat friends here who want to settle here, come and work here. Perhaps maybe it's just note a few things. First thing is that the cost of living here is actually quite high.
Yeah.
So it is easier to come here as a single than a family. Marked difference. Difference. So come when you're single, settle down here.
Well, and you know what's interesting? There's this map comparison tool. I just was curious to see how big Singapore is compared to my city, and I couldn't get that comparison, but I was able to compare it to my state. Yeah. And literally, from my knowledge of my state, looking at Singapore as a tiny little speck, really small. A tiny little speck on my state. Literally, my city that I live in is probably about half the size of Singapore, and you guys have at least 11 times the amount of people. It's insane. And I love it. And I mean, granted, there's a lot of wasted space in where I live. Because the one problem with the US I find is that there's a lot of urban sprawl. When we started doing the Industrial Revolution with cars, we went all in on cars. We should have done trains. I don't know why we didn't do more trains, but we went all in on cars. And so now all our roads are super long. Our neighborhoods are super long. Our streets are super long.
Yes, I understand.
It's not much of a point. It just makes no sense.
Yeah.
So part of the things I talk about on this podcast is changing education. And I noticed something a bit interesting on your profile is that you had a Marketing Week mini MBA with Marc Ritson. Can you tell me more about that? Because that's interesting.
All marketers, please sign up.
Okay.
Please sign up. Marc Ritson is a very, to me, he's a thought leader. He's right up there at the top as a marketing professor. And it's really no bullshit. Seriously, get the real thing done, get to the crux, get to what I call the upstairs. Sometimes we are too into like the nitty gritties. And it takes a lot of time, right? Learning new techniques, new tools that forgot the big picture. For example, think like a general. Don't think like a foot soldier.
Yeah. Right.
But how to get there as a general, it takes some training. It takes some, you need to have skills. So once you do that, like how I explained to you just earlier, like the change, what is the thing? Yeah, it's understand, diagnosing the situation. Just a doctor, whatever you do, check the vitals. Yeah. Check the knowledge. Where is the point you're going to attack? Yeah, to change the outcome, right? And so we like in our company, our enemy is called spray and pray. Don't go there. Yeah. Don't do spray and pray, right? Diagnose, strategize, and go and hit it.
Right. Well, and it kind of reminds me, this is a little micro call to action for the audience. Read The Art of War by Lao Tzu, and that might be good. Yeah. That way you can think about the strategy.
Yes.
So considering that's a little bit more of a professional education, you definitely have a background of both. What do you think inspired your polymathic lifestyle? Your formal education or your self-education more?
It's a crisis, as I mentioned. It's a crisis because of that. It really waked me up like to the core. So it was survival because of my two babies, and I got responsibilities. I couldn't just find another job or just try that. No, I really could find a good solution that could answer what I saw in the next few years. Of this exponential change, of the rise of the machines, of human, like what the human do in about 5 to 10 years time, right? So I need to find an answer, and from that it evoked this recognition of polymathy.
Well, and I don't know if that quite answered the question there. I was meaning like, what did formal education or self-education inspire polymathy more?
Yeah. Which inspired polymathy more?
Which one?
In that case, should be the latter. Maybe I'll just add a little bit. In Singapore, it's a little bit interesting because the education at the what I call high school is actually very suitable for polymathic development, at least intermediate wise. But they don't focus on infusion, but they focus on stretching out. And we knew which students could go deep in which subject. So we just need to tweak a little bit, they could fuse them, right? Anyway, so that's the pre-education, but in largely the entire system still not polymathic. There is actually a movement. There's a certain progress at university towards a multidisciplinary approach. So that was a good movement. I hope for the young people, it could be education could help them discover earlier. But for us, it's a self-learning.
Okay. I did notice that on some of your videos on your channel that there were some people that were like, some of the interns that you were showing off had the dual degrees. And I know that one of the universities there is talking about more polymathic degree in a way. And because I actually looked at that university myself for my own sake,
Yeah.
like years ago, actually, a couple years ago. And on top of that, I do know there's like an elementary school that's trying to use AI to make a more modular learning system for people. Like if these kids are not understanding this particular concept well, then the curriculum will change for them, which is similar to what I'm doing with the modular degree. But it's interesting how Singapore's doing that experiment with that.
Yes, yes, we are not bad. I think there's a recognition towards a multidisciplinary, and so because we recognize the limitation of the previous system, and I think I gotta give them credit. They are trying to move it in front. Usually, the education is like that, but this time around it's very serious because young people is going to graduate with increasing irrelevance with knowledge from the university, right? Because of disruptions and all that kind of thing. So they are trying to move as much as they can.
Right. I love that. And I think too, that the more we can inspire polymaths in school, it'd be really good.
Exactly.
Like, you mentioned earlier too, Singapore is so young that we don't have, there's not much history to learn, which means there's not enough traditions or conservatism that are conservatism, or whatever the term is, to hold people back versus like the US, which is a bit older in the big scale. There's a lot of, okay, we should follow this tradition. And because of that, we're lagging behind in education. We're lagging behind on innovation, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think there's pros and cons, but I think that's like in the US, there's pockets of very, very fast, very progressive, and there's pockets, I mean, certain like more conservative. As per normal, in all civilization, you got a big chunk, majority who are settled down will tend towards conservatism. Yeah. Similar in Singapore, actually, most are conservative. Okay, but remember that it's an island, there's extreme pragmatism. So even though we're conservative, we will accept and we move on.
Right.
Yeah, we have to accept because you can be denial mode, but for the most people who have survival instinct, they will move along.
Well, and there's a balance there. Obviously, we're not getting too much into politics there, but conservatives need to move on, progressives need to hold back. It's a bit of balance, but
yeah, exactly. But like the dance, this dance has been going on for years, right?
Centuries, millennia at this point.
Since mankind
began. So these next couple questions are a little bit more loaded, and I think that you're probably perfect to answer them. What do you think is the power of polymaths? And you've certainly touched on it, but we can touch on it again here.
Definitely, and we have to. Okay, so right now there are two distinct patterns. So it's an exponential increase in data, exponential increase in machine learning. These two are exponentially increasing, which means human cannot catch up, and this is with disorientation, and this exponential increase is multiplied across all industry. Okay, this is one. Second phenomena is that what is called the collapse of many disciplines. Any transformation project right now require multiple experts.
Yeah.
Okay. Now that's insane. That's so difficult to organize a group of 12 experts to do one transformation project. The likelihood of failure is so high. And what happens to those new gaps that fall under nobody?
Yeah.
Now, this is the power of polymath that will solve both.
You're only as strong as the weakest point in the chain.
Yes.
And so if one person falls back.
Make sure you have at least one or two polymathic talent inside the team. Your success rate is much higher. Give them power, give them, they'll do fine.
Project management and that kind of thing.
Yes. Sense making, just as long as you have one or two polymathic talent inside there, you'll give them the power, you'll do fine.
Right. How do you think we can inspire more companies to do that particular mindset? Like, how can we give them more power? How can we put that trust? Assess.
Okay, so and this we are trying now. So first and foremost, we have to demonstrate what a polymath can do. For example, there are the polymathic talents who do art focusing right now. I've seen one human structure trying to inspire. That's their job. But because the world has a really practical problem with limited tools to solve it, we have to highlight this. And there are examples. I've seen many examples that are out there now trying to solve. But they see them as a problem solver, but it was not promoted as a polymathic way of doing. And that's where what your work you're doing is important. Focusing on success, focusing on the work, real world problem that has been solved. Those are really important. Then when they recognize it, one time, two times, they realize, how could these guys do it like consistently, like this type? And then they will start looking for them. They will, I'm sure, because there's no harm. They have like 10,000 hit count. What is 5 and 10, right? Is that the problem? But it's a difficult problem because polymathic talent don't do extremely well in a very structured manner. They need empowerment. They need some space, right? So, but those in the task force, they do very well, right? So there are ways. I'm sure the top executive leaders know how to give space to run this. That's my confidence. They recognize it. But to convince, you need to show track record.
Yeah. So a couple ideas that I've seen, like I know Google, for example, when they hire people, especially in the more technical roles, they want you to have multiple companies in your backlog, not just one company for 10 years, but 5 companies for 2 years each.
Similar.
You get that. Yeah. And then Valve is the company that created Steam, which is a gaming storefront on the computer. And for that company, pretty much anybody who's working there can move anywhere they want. If there's a project that interests them, they go work on that. DreamWorks, the people who made Kung Fu Panda and whatnot, their company model is always about learning more, getting mentorship, mentoring other people in the company. And one thing I found really interesting is that in DreamWorks, they have this backlog, all the movies at every step of the process. So scriptboarding, seeing the animation, seeing the creation of the assets. And so if you're an asset creator and you want to see how Kung Fu Panda was made, you can go back on that timeline, look at those steps that they took, and you can learn from that. So that's companies need to copy that model.
Right. Actually, wow, it's really good. Yes. I like it. This is really very much part of a structure, a structure to support the very explosive growth and retain it. So yeah, that's an awesome structure.
How do you run experiments about the polymathic work environment by running the internships? You mentioned this at the beginning, so I want to touch on it again.
So the question is how to make it sustainable, how to be more structured. So we know that a holacratic organismic model rather than mechanistic works better for polymathic because we own the outcome. Giving the power, giving the space, will deliver, right? And the more challenging, the more excited you are, and it's somehow it's inverse of the normal work. Right. But how do you build a team of polymath? Like have you heard of a team of polymathic working together? Not very common. It tends to be like slow, so that's the question we went out to seek out to try to answer, and that's where we run experiment. We tested with 1-man team, 2-man team, 3-man, 4-man. Yeah, we found the configuration, the nice configuration of 3. 3 was the magic number for us, and we fine tune. I share one very good output that we got from the experiment is that we could get them to jump and crack the unglobal challenge within 6 weeks. Interns, totally untrained. They are not even marketing trained. Right? 6 weeks, some world-class problem, give it to them, they crack it, and who? I'm not going to say I think they crack. I get them to present to Fortune 500 CMOs and head of marketing and veterans. Let them tell. Yeah, it makes sense.
Well, and it's interesting too. The next question is how can we get them to work together very well? It's like, sure, getting them together and finding, like what you're saying there, and I'm just kind of going off your point. It's like, how can we get a man or woman to get in these teams and have them work together in a way? Just like we mentioned earlier, Polymathy is not all the same. And not everyone's going to have the same trees. So how can we get those trees to be bridged between different people? Sure, as a solo, we can make the connections between our own knowledge trees, but how can we get the polymaths to bridge the trees of their different peers?
Exactly. So my observation is that so polymathy has a different stage. You do have a pluripotent stage, but as you grow older, you start to specialize. You really like it or not. There's certain tendencies, okay, and then you start to work alone because whole life you've been working alone. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So what we do is we find. Let's say that back to that multi-potential, like or what I call pluripotent. That's usually younger stage, between as young as 17-year-old. To 22-year-old, right? That's a good age. In fact, by 23, 24, it starts to crystallize. It's getting harder. When the best stage is when they are not working. There's no stake. Wow, the brain is like, oh, super awesome. The moment they hit the final year or 1 year after they graduate, the brain just clamp. Yeah, and so that means the potential to get this skill, you can get them earlier, like around 17-year-old. You can actually practice the skills and give them confidence in themselves, right? So if we do that to team them together at age, means they're used to that kind of environment. Yeah, they work in a team, and in the future they can form teams in that way. Because we're still relatively young, we do not know when they graduate into an adult world that's all mainstream. Could they repeat that in the other environment? We don't know. But at least the data shows when they're young and put a certain environment in the pressure cooker, the survival instinct, they will align to cooperate with each other.
It's interesting because I'm an example of that as well. Because once I graduated high school, I didn't want to go to college. I decided against it. I tried for a split second, but I didn't try very hard. I didn't care enough. And so I focused on my own self-education, my own self-development for years, almost better half a decade now at this point. And from like 18 to 22, I was on my own. I was working. I was paying my bills. I lived on my own when I was 19. And
nice.
So, yeah. And so I was just self-sufficient, even though I wasn't making that much money. I had debt for credit lines or something like that, but I paid everything off that I needed to. And it's interesting how, because of that, I was able to become this polymathic person. So some people can focus on that and kind of just hold on to it.
Yes. So just imagine a world just 5 years or 10 years down that you actually have a structure, just better support it at the age that 17 to 21, 22. I think we could see quite a breed of a new knowledge worker that is different from the past.
Well, and not to talk too much about PolyInnovator stuff, but the stuff I've been doing with the modular degree is for that. So people who want to learn many different things, that's the whole point of the modular aspect of this system, where if there's something you want to learn, then the learning curriculum can change to what you need to learn next.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like even right now at my age, I signed up the mini MBA for Marc Recent. I signed up another one with Marc Recent, brand management that I'm going through now. And I signed up another one by Professor Scott Galloway on strategy sprint, right?
Right.
Whatever you need, you just go learn from the best. Just say like, what the hell? This is 2020, man.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and on top of that, I guess at this time you have plenty of time. If you can't learn during the pandemic when you're in quarantine, then you're not going to be able to learn at all, because that's plenty of time.
No, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, and one point you made earlier that I didn't get a chance to go off of is that there was a lot of things changing and how like 2020 is really crappy. But one thing I've been talking to a lot of guests on the show about is the exponential change that's happening. Zoom skyrocketed, Amazon skyrocketed, and especially AWS and whatnot. And so it's interesting how a lot of companies are getting that exponential growth, but they were going to get it anyways. It's just, it happened sooner because of the pandemic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And this is the beginning. This exponential age is the beginning now. I mean, it's surely not too late. There's still lots to do because it's so chaotic, so messy right now. There's a lot of opportunity, a lot. And let's be the ones to know that we seize it by our two hands, to define the new age.
Well, and a couple more points before we end up wrapping up here too, is that even though the pandemic accelerated it, it was going to happen anyways. And there's other changes that are going to happen, like you're saying. And I think that if you can learn from the pandemic's model that it's accelerated, you can see in the 2 years that this is going to happen. Like, we're sure we might go back to normal next year, but we're still going to be affected by it for the 6 months after that and whatnot. For years to come, actually. But these 2 years where the pandemic's really hitting us hard, if you can look at that model and just see how, okay, this is how the change happens, then spread it out over time, then you'll be able to kind of sort of predict what's going to happen in a big long run.
Yes. Actually, that's what I learned from Jonathan, learned I think from Jeff Bezos. Yeah. Don't just think outside the box, think outside the tesseract.
Yeah.
And think outside for the time.
Yeah.
Think about how the time, the simulation, how it's going to be, and then go for it, position and go for it.
Mm-hmm. I love that. And so my final question here is, what is something you've never said or talked about that you secretly wanted to?
Maybe I'm thinking maybe I just want to let the world know that I'm proud of my son. I'm doing very much to show them the way, a model that they can use it when they grow up, just in case I die next year or whatever. Right. I think this is the first time I'm saying it.
I'm proud of you too. I'm proud of you. So that's good. Thank you for answering that so honestly. I appreciate that. And so, kind of final question here then is, where can people find you online? What is the call to action for them to interact with you?
Oh, reach out to me, man. Let's connect on LinkedIn. You can find me on Marc Goh. Click on the most handsome face. It should be me. Connect me on Facebook. Same. It's the same one.
When I was looking you up, I saw a couple different Marc Gohs. I was like, oh wait, I know that face. That's the cool guy.
That's the one.
And so that's good. And I'll make sure I have links in the description for you. And then, what is the call to growth for our audience today?
Yeah, I think I think go for it. Right now, it's really got a lot of opportunity right now. Growth has a lot to do with pain, and there's a lot of opportunity with pain.
Yes.
So seize it. The thing is, I know I'm not alone. I hope whoever listening, you're not alone. You're not alone. And I speak to so many amazing people. There's a lot of amazing people right now, and actually, to be honest, we're very busy. Because so much, there's only so much we can swallow and how much we can do right now. So please step up.
Yeah.
Own it and make a difference, because it's the time and it's only the beginning. Do it now in 2020. 2021, you'll be even stronger.
Yeah.
It's a long run. The next decade is very different. Yeah, it's our decade.
And you're not alone. We're here. Me and Mark here for you. And there's a quote from one of my favorite shows. It's like Delicious Nakora, where when you hit your lowest point, you're most open to change. And we're definitely hitting our lowest point now. So
we call it the valley of death. When you go in and there's nothing, go on with faith, right? Because it's true. Because if you turn back, you miss your chance. With confidence, with faith, with fearlessness, just go for it. Something will happen.
Yeah.
And then that's yourself. Do you.
Yeah. Fake it until you make it too. I know some people don't like that saying, but I remember in high school where I didn't feel like I fit in much. I faked it till I made it, and we kept going through them. Have faith in yourself and keep moving.
Exactly.
So once again, this is Dustin Miller, PolyInnovator, and Marc Goh on the Polymath Polycast. Thank you for joining me.
All right.